I'm Dawn Montefusco, and this is Write Because It Matters. Today we have Christi Krug. She is an award-winning writer whose poetry, fiction, essays, and articles have appeared in everything from international magazines to handmade publications. She's been teaching wildfire writing for Clark College in Vancouver, Washington for over 18 years. She's an enthusiastic, disarming presenter, conducting workshops for conferences, schools, and libraries, as well as independently. Christi works with writers around the globe as a coach and editor, bringing out-of-the-box solutions. To learn more about Christi or to get inspired by her blog, visit ChristiKrug.com, and that's Christi, ChristiKrug.com, and I'll have all her links on this page so you can check it out, and I'm super thrilled to jump in with Christi. Hi!
Hi!
So just what led you to start your company and become a writing coach?
Wow, it was a really interesting journey because I didn't even for a while have the confidence that I could be a writer. And I had gotten really discouraged. I'd always wanted to write. I always loved to tell stories. And I got really discouraged at one point and just desperate. I looked for some ideas and some resources that would help me. And they did. And I just had this complete turnaround in how I view the writing process and my own voice. And I developed this confidence that I didn't think I could ever have. And so once that came about, I just felt so grateful. I started publishing freelance articles and stories and just felt really comfortable with the process of sharing my writing and that people wanted it and would publish it. And people I would run into would say, I wish that would happen to me, but I could never write.
Wow,
I could never do that. And so that led to this whole series of steps. You don't realize how much your compassion for others and their situation is born out of what you've been through. And
yes.
when you can say to someone, I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
And I think I can help you. That's where my teaching began. And I just started, I'll just create a class and maybe people will show up. And little did I know, but people would show up and also tell me that it made an incredible difference, not only for their writing, but in their life. That they could tap into this part of themselves that is creative, that is confident, that this self-belief that what I have to say matters.
Yes.
And so that led to teaching, led to working with people one-on-one. And it suddenly became so much about how can I serve someone else in their writing process and being able to really hear their story, work with their project, and tailor this process I discovered and refined, tailor it to the individual.
Yeah. Tell us a little more about the process.
Well, there's a 5-step process in wildfire writing, which...
Is it called fire writing?
Wildfire writing is my class.
That's right.
And after teaching for 16 years, I went, this needs to be put down and shared even more. And so then I created the book, Burn Wild, A Writer's Guide.
It's awesome. Yeah.
And so I detail the process in the book as well as in the class. And it's really there to show you that you can't do everything all at once. And when you try to create and edit at the same time, you are driving a car with the brakes on. And you're going to feel frustrated. You're going to question yourself. You're going to wonder if you can really do this. And there's actually nothing wrong except you've mixed up your process and you've jumbled it all together. So we take it apart and we really refine and stretch out that process to understand what needs to happen at each place. And there's some key things that I've sort of developed that are unique that people haven't heard talked about anywhere else.
Yeah.
And they've really made a difference for me and for my students and my clients.
That's awesome. The more research I'm doing on finishing a book, because I got stuck in that process for a memoir that is now being written. But then when I realized that books really shouldn't take very long, the first draft. And the more research I did, the more I found out that like Clockwork Orange was written in 3 weeks, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was written in 10 days, and not the finished product.
Right.
So can you talk more about how there's this like weird idea that books take 5 years to write, when what I'm learning and have learned is that the first draft really shouldn't, and I know I say shouldn't because we're coaches, we're not supposed to say should or shouldn't, but really it's not supposed to take, the first draft shouldn't take very long.
Yeah. Well, I think timing is different with everyone, but we do a lot of speed writing. I call it wild writing.
Nice.
In my classes. A method which really accesses that creativity and happens in 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And in 15 minutes a day, you can train and develop your creative side, and you could write a novel in these sort of energy bursts that are not hampered by the critic.
Agreed.
And when I hear you talk about that, writing this memoir is going to take me forever, and, writing a book takes forever, what I feel, again, is that impeded process that happens when you are both trying to critique, refine, and create at the same time. It's a stop, start, halting, it's stuttering on paper. You just, it's so uncomfortable, and it's so debilitating that it takes a long, 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 long time to create anything. Yeah.
I have to say, one of the things I love is how you articulate this dilemma. And how even in the especially the book, there's, every sentence I'm going, yes. So one of the questions I have, but I think you'd be very proud of me, I did right away, not just last night before the interview, but weeks ago when I first found out about you, I printed out my license.
Hey.
And I want to read a little to the audience and then ask a question. What I love about this is, so for those that you got to get Christi's book. There's a license to write. It says, "This license grants me the right to write. I may do so whenever I choose. I can spend time, money, and resources on developing my skills. I can try new forms and genres with or without an outline. I can take on the task of any novel, poem, scene, even when I don't know how to go about it." And then I'll just jump down. Then there's the creative license, which I love. It has your name. "I'm the owner of my own creativity. This license grants me the right to be creative whenever and wherever I choose, and to try new forms of art, to dabble, experiment, invent, and make things up as I go along." Can you, there was, I always say there's this book that I read, Callings, and in it there's a scene where this professor is leaving to go to work, and his little girl says, Daddy, what do you do at work?" And he says, "Oh, I teach people how to draw and paint." And she says, "Oh, you mean they forget?" And I feel the same way about writing. It's so interesting, these permissions you're giving us. It's almost like we kind of grow into this place and we forget. Can you talk a little bit more about that remembering process that I think you are getting at here, where we remember that we have permission to create, and creation, like everyone is creative.
Yeah, that's great. I love that story. It's that remembering is more about entering a different state that you can access at any time. That we access when perhaps holding a brand new baby with someone you love, out under the stars at night, doing your favorite activity, going on a hike, or caught up in creating art. Suddenly you have dropped into a different state where you can be fully present. Yeah. And there's joy, and there's faith in yourself, and there's faith in others, and it's not far, far away, and it's not unavailable to us.
Mm-hmm.
It's that we are so busy with the details and responsibilities of life that we don't take that time, and we do kind of forget how to just get there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that it goes away,
Mm-hmm.
and it can actually get richer and deeper
Mm-hmm.
as life goes on, and as you learn to really live and enter that place as much as you can.
Wow, that's great. One question to backtrack. You said that you were writing and someone told you, or red penned your paper. What was it? You were told that you weren't a good writer or something.
Yeah.
And I had the same thing happen in college. Freshman year of college, writing class. The class loved my work because we were reading out loud, the workshop style. And the teacher actually had the nerve to pull me during office hours to tell me that I should not write. And I was a writer in high school, and obviously I'm still a writer. And I remember for a year, I tried everything. I was a psych major, anthropology. I mean, there were too many. And then finally, I had to take another writing class because I wanted to get rid of some, whatever your requirements are. And I met Ann Hood, who's on the summit, and she's a writer. And if it wasn't for her saving me, can you speak to people I was lucky, maybe you were lucky, but it sounds like you advocated for yourself, that at some point you just thought, wait a second, I'm going to go and so can you just talk about just any hint you have or tip to someone who accidentally was told, don't do that?
Absolutely. That is such a great story,
Mm-hmm.
and a hard thing that you went through.
Oh, yeah, it was horrible.
Oh, it's so cool that
But I'm okay now.
Yeah, it's so cool that you overcame that. I've heard so many stories of how writers have been shut down, from loved ones, from people very close to them, from teachers, from remarks, from comments, and we are so incredibly vulnerable. That's why safety and support and encouragement are huge values in my classes and in everything that I do. And I really believe that everybody who steps into my class, everybody who has turned on this video, everyone who is looking and takes a step, there is something inside you that says, I can do this.
Yes.
I want to do this. And when you give place to that, it becomes bigger than the other voice. You're always going to have that critical force. That is another thing that's so important to learn. We think, well, if I'm getting all this critical static and all this self-doubt, I shouldn't be doing it. Mm-hmm. That's not true. Yeah. In fact, it might be the reverse. The more self-doubt, the more pressure and the more things have come against you, might say even more that this is your calling.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to the basics here because I'm curious. Everyone loves this question. For your book, when you're writing one of your books, or the hardest book, or what was your process? Did you write every day? Did you write in the morning? It seems to be. I cover that with just about everyone as a curiosity.
Oh, it's a great question. And we do hear that a lot. Write every day. It's so important. And my method is I do write every day. However, I don't count all of my writing as project writing. A lot of what I create is just for me, or it's just for logging ideas, or it's just for journaling my experiences. But it keeps the writing practice alive. So I do write every day. And there are ways I cheat, but I still write. I may do my writing by using a voice recorder on my walk. If I'm really rushed, it's still writing. It's the same process. I'm using my voice. So, it's not that hard to get that in. When I'm on a project, I may shrink or delete that time and focus on the writing project. So I'm still writing every day. Maybe every third day I want to take a break from the book, and I want to go back to my just freestyle, free writing, which can free that voice and keep that healthy. It's kind of like you don't want to just walk because you're exercising. You don't want to just walk because you're going somewhere. You walk because it's something that you do in your
Yeah.
life, and you want to be able to keep doing it. But there are many reasons for doing it, and writing is the same way.
Yeah, that's great. Very thorough answer. So as a business owner now, let's shift gears. How has writing a book, when you finished the book, how did that help your business?
Oh, it's terrific to have your values, your story, and your message in one place, where you can really say, well, here it is. We didn't meet face to face, but here's my book. Let me offer that to you, and so you can get a taste of what I'm about. And it's such a it refines you. It asks you to define your vision. And so you grow so much through the process.
Yeah, I agree. That's fantastic. Let's ask the other question. How to get through the dreaded writer's block?
Well, that's what Wildfire Writing and Burn Wild are all about, really. And again, that writer's block is really that critic and the critical process interfering with the creative process. The two things that don't go together. And so when you separate them, when you really, and often I will just ban the critic. I will say, okay, we're going to write, and we're going to write this badly, and it's not allowed. No judgment is allowed for the next 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or maybe a week. And some people I work with, they've been beat down so badly by subjecting themselves to that voice that I say, okay, for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, we are not going to critique anything. And that's feels like a long time for some people, but it completely liberates.
Yes. I had a writers group, and one of the things that we did is we had something, we do something called the challenge. So the challenge is have a subject, and then maybe it's a poem, maybe it's a paragraph, very small, like under 500 words, and we never critique it. Never. We're just not allowed. If we bring it, the same piece back the following week, and we revise it, and we want, we submit it for a critical analysis. But what's weird is I've noticed that the pieces that get published the most are the ones that came out when I knew that there was going to be no critical assessment whatsoever, and I actually didn't even think I'd use it. Yeah. I was just like, oh, fine, I'll just throw this down. So I love that you speak to that, and that you give permission for months. Yeah. I mean, some people, I know I need that.
Yeah. So and in the classes, we do that. We do those series. Again and again and again. So you walk away and you have a notebook full of these things, and you go, oh my goodness.
Wow.
I write so much, and they're really good.
How awesome.
Yeah.
And so the classes are located in Vancouver, Washington?
Primarily, I also teach classes in Portland.
Okay, I just want to make sure to get that out to the audience.
I'm also doing things in Portland, and the schedule changes all the time. I like to mix things up.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so let's see. Publishing. Let's hit that one. So I can't remember, you self-published some of your work, and then some of your work has been published. Tell us the difference and what you recommend. I mean, do you have any suggestions? I know that people are, either people really know about self-publishing or they really don't know about self-publishing. But you're very rounded. You've hit both of those. So can you speak a little to those two?
Yeah. Well, in the past, self-publishing, in the last 20, 30 years ago, self-publishing had a really bad reputation.
Yeah.
And the truth is, self-publishing is the first kind of publishing that there is. Yeah. Thoreau was only self-published.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, many of our best, most wonderful things were self-published. And what that really means is you, as a writer, have control over the details, over the finances, over, everything that you receive in royalties. And at the same time, there's a huge responsibility to be in charge of the quality control and the marketing and so many of the things that you can definitely get support for, and you will need to find that support on your own. Whereas working with a publisher has been great. I have 7 books that I worked with, resource books, with 2 different publishers, And those books were very much supported, and all the marketing. I did very, very little. I did probably no marketing, maybe just a little bit, but very supported as far as other people putting it in a catalog and creating a little buzz around it and making the decisions and all the work that goes into the publishing process.
Yes. Wow.
So there's just so many things that having a publisher takes that away and enables you to focus on the writing.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it's they're both so important. If you don't find a publisher right away and you're in a hurry, I had some great agents and some great feedback on my writing book, and I didn't get the yes that I wanted when I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, I need to publish this. I'm going,
Nice.
and it was great really diving in and learning the process. And I didn't have to check with the editor as I did on the other books. So, they're both very important, and they're going to ask different things of you.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's everyone has their own take on it, Yeah. Let's see. So there's so much. Give me an example of maybe any stories or something that comes to mind of how the writing process really transformed one of your students.
I do. I have one. I have more than one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool. Wow.
Well, I've helped write their books.
Nice.
Bring their books into their world, and there's more than this. But one of the first, when I transitioned from just teaching to coaching, one of the first clients that I worked with was a new writer who had just taken my class and had felt transformed by the wildfire writing process. And she had a wonderful message and so many great stories and this terrific sense of humor. And that was Mary Dion. And she's the author of What Does Love Have to Do with It? And she's a coach. And she, she had this story that had affected her relationships, that had affected her whole life. She had learned so much wisdom, and she was terrified to share it. Wow. She just had so much fear, and I could completely relate. When I was writing my own memoir, I would get sick. I would get physically, I would feel disembodied, like all these odd things happen to you, and you realize there's a part of you that just doesn't want to tell the story, that is afraid. So working with her was really my first experience of going all the way from having you as a student in my class to coaching you through the process of writing, which was so delightful for both of us, to actually then she hired me on and I changed hats and edited for her as well. So I got to be with her through all those stages. Nice. And she just transformed before my eyes from a withdrawn, shy, intimidated writer to this confident woman who is a speaker and author and really trusts her gut and her message and her story. And so it just was like, wow, that's what happens when we give rein to what I call the dream kid. Mm-hmm. It's the part of you that has that story and has that dream. Yeah. And it transforms everything about your life. Yeah. So I love you, Mary, wherever you are.
Oh, yay. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great inspiration, I'm sure, for lots of people. So you tell me a little bit more about this free gift you're offering, and let's anything you'd like to add. This is all you, Christi.
Certainly. I am going to review and offer you feedback and encouragement and help you see something positive and something good. And also notice where there might be some room to grow in a gentle way, offering that by reviewing your writing. Nice. And you can send me up to 5 pages double spaced. So if they're not double spaced, just send me 2 or 3 pages.
Yeah.
People do that all the time. Wait, this is like tiny
Yeah.
size 8 font. It's not going to work. Send those to me. And the free gift is you get to have my feedback. You get to have me really dig into those pages, hear your voice. Maybe nobody has ever really heard you or gotten a glimpse of your story. So it could be a piece of journaling. It could be the opening chapter of your book, your book to be. It could be a set of ideas, anything at all.
That's great. And where would they go to your website, ChristiKrug.com?
Yes, and I have a link there on my blog where they can access that.
Excellent. And they can download 2 chapters of your book.
Yes,
yeah.
also.
That I highly recommend that. Just to get the taste of it is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christi. You are just a bright light, and it's been such a pleasure. I'm so honored to have you on this summit, and I'm looking forward to more time with you since we live near each other. That's exciting.
Hey.
And thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Dawn. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, bye. Have a good day.